Good, happy Wednesday morning, June 17, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of Good Morning, New Hampshire. It's time to rise and shine, everyone. Get this Wednesday off to a good start. So grab your cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy some Good Morning, New Hampshire, where we have a little bit of everything for you in this program. First, we're going to start with your news. We're going to start with local news first. So let's begin with that. First up, 6 new COVID-19 deaths reported in New Hampshire. 27 new cases announced. State epidemiologist says state officials believe community transmission is decreasing in state. State health officials announced Tuesday that the deaths of 6 more people have been attributed to COVID-19. 4 of the 6 victims were residents of New Hampshire long-term care facilities, which have been hit partially hard by the coronavirus, with more than 34% of infections and 82% of deaths from COVID-19 linked to the facilities. There have been 326 coronavirus-related deaths since the pandemic began, health officials said. Also on Tuesday, Dr. Benjamin Chan, the state epidemiologist, announced that there were 27 new positive COVID-19 tests, resulting in a total of 5,364 total cases. 2 new hospitalizations were announced, bringing that total to 521, or less than 10% of the total number of cases. In all, more than 100,000 more Granite Staters have been tested for active COVID-19 infections this year. Lately, the state has averaged about 1,700 tests per day, Chan said, with the percent positive rate recently hovering around 2%. Overall, the numbers continue to show good trend, Chan said. These numbers continue to show that we believe community transmission is decreasing. Chan cautioned that the state remains at risk for increasing numbers of new infections or perhaps a new surge in outbreaks. More than 20 states have seen increases in the number of COVID-19 cases and or hospitalizations. This is being watched very closely nationally, Chan said. There are states throughout the United States which are beginning to show increases. This is not the case in New Hampshire yet, but we certainly following the numbers very closely. Officials urge that Granite Staters continue to practice keeping 6 feet of distance from other people and to wear cloth face coverings when in public. Masks that cover the mouth and nose are especially encouraged in situations when continued social distancing isn't likely. Governor Chris Sununu, too, stressed the importance of masks and social distancing. As wonderful as it is to see our numbers consistently on a downwards, that is still all a function of us having the right protocols in place, whether it's physical distancing, the usage of masks, things of that nature, Sununu said. They really do work, and we are just going to keep re-emphasizing that time and time again. Sununu allowed the state stay-at-home order to expire Monday night, and its place is a safer at-home advisory. He said those who are at most risk from the disease is encouraged to stay at home if possible, as they are healthier at home. COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 5,364 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 2,132,171 number of people in the United States have tested positive. 326 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 521 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 161 and 788 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. Take a look at this map of New Hampshire right here, where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 218. And take a look at this map of New Hampshire, where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 1418. Now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple. Daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. Now let's take a look at this chart here. Current COVID-19 cases in the purple and current hospitalizations in the orange. Let's take a look at this chart here. Total positive COVID-19 cases in the purple. Total hospitalizations in the orange, deaths, red, and blue recovered. And now let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And again, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Sununu creates commission to examine police transparency and accountability. Commission includes law enforcement, civil rights officials, and mental health experts. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
To protect New Hampshire's loons from lead poisoning, Loon Preservation Committee will buy your lead fishing tackle. Get $10 toward Loon Safe Tackle when you turn in your lead at participating retailers. Visit us online at www.loonsafe.org for full details.
It's called the Commission on Law Enforcement Accountability, Community, and Transparency, and the governor says its goals are in the name.
This is about community interaction, this is about transparency, this is about EES, it could be about protocols, use of lethal force when it pertains to individuals with mental health issues.
The commission, formed by an executive order, is tasked with recommending new reforms on de-escalation, use of force, and diversity training. They have 45 days to get it done.
This is not an issue where we want long and drawn-out study commissions.
Reps from Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, and ACLU were invited to join, in addition to the state's Diversity Council and Human Rights Commission and law enforcement officers.
How do we make the processes that are in the criminal justice system transparent so that we can make sure that the laws are being applied equitably?
James McKim of the Manchester NAACP says he plans to push for new training.
Policing should predominantly be restorative justice rather than punitive justice. And I know there are many police who have that perspective. The challenge, I think, comes when you're in the heat of the situation. You need that training to really be able to put aside that implicit bias,
The commission will also address issues surrounding documented police misconduct and whether lists kept by state prosecutors of disciplined officers should be public.
If you're an officer that's received your due process and you're on that list, it should be public. There's a public interest in that.
The state attorney general will chair the commission. Police union reps, in addition to members of the public and a judge, will also be involved. Reporting live in Concord, Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into national news. And in your national news, study shows possible new life-saving coronavirus drug in UK. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Very real concern here in the U.S. and tonight perhaps the most promising treatment for the virus yet. The UK's Oxford University now reporting a low-cost common steroid readily available here in the U.S. too that has cut the death rate in some of the most severe cases by a third. Here's ABC's Maggie Rulli tonight.
Tonight, a major potential breakthrough in the fight against coronavirus. The first drug that improves survival rates in the sickest COVID-19 patients.
It's a really important first step. It shows what can be done, and it's shown it with a treatment that can be used immediately.
Dr. Martin Landry and his team at the University of Oxford discovered that dexamethasone, a common steroid, was shown to cut the risk of death by a third for patients who are on ventilators and reduce deaths by 20% for those who are on oxygen.
When somebody comes off a ventilator, do they come off the ventilator dead or alive? And we've improved their chances of coming off that ventilator alive.
The Oxford team worked in near record time, setting up what's believed to be the world's biggest trial of existing treatments in just weeks. Today's results are so encouraging, British doctors announced they'll begin treating patients with the drug today.
It's really important because the drug itself is very widely available. It's on almost every pharmacy shelf in every hospital. It's available throughout the world, and it's extremely cheap.
In fact, dexamethasone can be used to treat a patient in the U.S. for just $1 a day. For Scott Krakauer in New York, he says the drug was a turning point in his fight against COVID-19.
I was coughing around the clock.
He was in the ER and says he was having trouble breathing. But within hours of taking the drug, he says he began to feel better almost immediately.
This was like a big difference, a huge difference after I went on the IV steroid that I felt.
Dexamethasone's a steroid that reduces inflammation and appears to ease the virus's effects on lungs. It's different from another virus treatment, remdesivir, which speeds up recovery time, but hasn't yet shown benefit in improving survival rates.
The news on that story, very promising, Maggie, with us. And there's also a new study tonight, Maggie, that just came out about how quickly the virus can spread, particularly among those under 40.
Yeah, David, exactly. This is an alarming new study out of Japan that shows people ages 20 to 39, even those without symptoms, may be the ones who are driving the spread of this virus outside of hospitals. The study documents multiple cases where just one young person was able to trigger an infection cluster that infected 5 or more people in places like restaurants, bars, and gyms.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into business news. And in your business news, Dow futures jump 180 points as Wall Street tries for a 4-day winning streak. U.S. stock futures suggested the market would continue to move higher on Wednesday following a big rally in previous sessions that fueled by a growing belief the worst may be over for the world's largest economy. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather. Your weather right now is sunny, 61 degrees. And your weather for today, sunny, high 84 degrees, winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into New Hampshire Life segment. In today's New Hampshire Life segment, Granite State seeing increase in chipmunks this season. Fish and Game say do not feed the chipmunks. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
To protect New Hampshire's loons from lead poisoning, Loon Preservation Committee will buy your lead fishing tackle. Get $10 toward Loon Safe Tackle when you turn in your lead at participating retailers. Visit us online at www.loonsafe.org for full details.
If you're hearing this sound more often, you are not alone. Many people are reporting a high number of chipmunk sightings, including here in Londonderry.
They're always along the side, running down, going near the steps, like I said, going into any barrels, trying to get into anything that they can. There was like that one year where we saw a lot of squirrels. Now it's a lot of chipmunks.
And there is a reason for that. Wildlife biologist Patrick Tate says a large amount of acorns, hickory nuts, and beech nuts were produced last year, causing a surge.
That allowed last year's adult animals to overwinter very well and then have a high fitness, so they're able to have a higher number of young this spring.
Now they're finding homes in places like stone walls.
Any burrow they can find within a grass area, they'll occupy those places as their new home. And that's when they become very visible to humans.
And we are told that could cause some problems for homeowners in their yards and their gardens, but there are some things people can do.
When we're planting our gardens, we touch the soil where we're placing the seed. We've left a scent marker for that seed, and then they'll know to dig that spot.
Tate says you can prevent that by wearing rubber gloves and using gardening tools. People should also clean up wood and rock piles and get rid of any food sources. He says you should never poison chipmunks or feed them.
That can bioaccumulate in predatory species, and it can cause problems with predatory animals and also bird species. I do not recommend anyone feeding wildlife, as it creates them to become very tolerant of human presence. And there are a number of zoonotic diseases, which means they're diseases that wildlife carries that can be transferred to humans by direct contact.
Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Good tips there. Take a look at this. Amazon introduced new social distancing tech. Let's take a look at that video from Good Morning America.
Now with Amazon rolling out some innovative new tech to help their employees with social distancing at the workplace. And the company will soon be offering it for free to everyone. Kaylee Hartung joins us with a closer look. Good morning, Kaylee.
Hey, Michael, you guys at the desk are safely distanced thanks to the work of our great Times Square studio crew measuring that out. As more office spaces reopen, businesses are reimagining their workspaces too. And as we've come to learn, social distancing isn't always natural. This technology can guide us. This morning, new technology from e-commerce giant Amazon that could soon appear at offices across the country. It's called the Distance Assistant, and in this video shot at an Amazon warehouse in Washington, you can see Amazon employees walking in high-traffic areas, past monitors with mounted cameras. Those green circles on the monitor mean you're socially distant. But when a red circle appears, it means that employee is closer than 6 feet to another person, and it's in real time, a visual reminder to maintain social distance.
Maintaining social distance is the most fundamental way to prevent the spread of COVID. And having a system that gives you real-time feedback can help train all of us to maintain distance, especially in places where it's hard to do so.
Amazon telling us it's already installed these units in a handful of its buildings, received positive employee feedback, and plans to deploy hundreds more in its facilities over the next few weeks.
This kind of technology will be super useful in places like elevator lobbies and general lobby spaces or cafeterias where there'll be people moving in lots of different directions. And the reason it can help is it can give guidance to people to help keep that spatial distance.
This isn't Amazon's first innovative approach to fighting COVID-19. They also put Prime Air drone engineers to work making face shields for first responders using 3D printers, and recently tested out a UV light robot to disinfect a Whole Foods store. Other companies are experimenting with different approaches to help employees keep their social distance too. Triax Technologies tells us it's using a wearable device. When workers get within 6 feet of each other, it will sound an alarm. And Amazon will soon offer up this new software for free, so any company can create its own distance assistant in one of those busy areas of the office. You just need a computer, a monitor, a camera, well, and more than 6 feet, guys.
All right, the beeping thing might get really.
Well, you're going to be yelling at your fellow employees, stay away from each other.
I noticed you already requested 2 extra feet on this side of the desk anyway, so we'll have to update the software for that.
Well, hey there, GMA.
Okay, and there you go. And switching gears, now let's go into entertainment news. And in your entertainment news today, 2021 Oscars postponed by 2 months. Let's take a listen to that video from Good Morning America.
Going to go to our GMA cover story. And that major announcement from the Academy, the Oscars are being delayed 2 months to late April 2021. Hollywood's biggest night is being rescheduled for the first time in 40 years due to the coronavirus. Chris Connolly has the details. Good morning, Chris.
And good morning from Hollywood, Michael. I guess you and I are used to seeing the parade of nominees, presenters, and performers going up the stairs behind me and into the Dolby Theater on Oscar night. There's no telling yet what next year's ceremony will look like, but there will be an Oscars on a new date.
And the Oscar goes to...
Springtime 2021. All of them, actually. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announcing that because of concerns over the pandemic's effects, it's pushing back the date of the upcoming Academy Awards on ABC 2 months to April 25th, 2021.
It's a mistake.
Other changes in Oscar season include extended eligibility for feature films, which can now be released as late as February 28th of next year. It's designed to give filmmakers more time to finish them. Moving to the 15th of March will be the Oscar nominations announcement.
For performance by an actor in a leading role.
As for the ceremony itself, a statement from ABC Entertainment President Carrie Burke saying, in part, "We find ourselves in uncharted territory this year and will continue to work with our partners at the Academy to ensure next year's show is a safe and celebratory event." There's nothing new about the Academy Awards in April, which is when it often aired from 1959 into the 1980s, and during that period was delayed on 2 separate occasions. 1981 saw the Oscars postponed a day following the shooting of President Reagan. In 1968, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King led the Academy to put off its ceremony until after his funeral. Recipients who'd honor Dr. King and his message included Best Actor Rod Steiger.
Thank you, and we shall overcome.
And 53 years after that, we'll see what kind of moments we'll find at the Oscars in 2021. Michael?
And Chris, the Academy, they also voted on some inclusion initiatives. So what are they, and what do they hope to achieve?
Well, they'll kick in after the Oscars in 2021, and they're significant. You know, they're designed to level the playing field in terms of Oscar-eligible movies so that more movies have the chance to be nominated, and also really to kick up the diversity in terms of the movies and in terms of the people making them. The first example we'll see of this is that starting with the Oscars in 2022, the Best Picture category will have 10 nominees every year going forward. But the changes behind the scenes are expected to be more impactful, both for Hollywood and for the entertainment industry as a whole, Michael.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. We'll be tuning in to April 2021.
Well, hey there.
Okay, there you have it. Not until April 2021 for those Oscars. Not this year, but next year. And now let's take a look at those celebrity birthdays for today. Let's see which celebrities are celebrating a birthday today. And happy birthday to all of these celebrities. We hope they have a wonderful birthday and a wonderful day. And that does it for this morning edition of Good Morning New Hampshire. Thank you for watching this morning edition of Good Morning New Hampshire. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everyone. See you back here next time for another edition of Good Morning New Hampshire. Goodbye, everyone.